welcome to Lessons Learnt. I'm Sherry. This is Finish It Friday. This is where we see what I've finished this week and some of your finishes as well. At the end, we'll have a little quilt show. So this week, I got into the berry wreath. This is a Tilda free pattern on TildaUSA.com, and it is made using Tilda Hibernation fabric line with a Moda grunge. And you know, I'm starting to forget which Moda grunge this is. It has a little bit of blue and purple in it. I need to look that up and see what the name is. Unfortunately, I'm in a search for another grunge shade this week for another project. They do not put the actual colors, names, or numbers on their selvage. It just has a general grunge number that goes for all the colors. And then you're on your own to figure out, you know, which color that is. And they do have names. And unfortunately also, when you go to the websites to try to find the color that you're trying to match, a piece you may have may not exactly match what the color swatch is online. Which, I don't know if that's, you know, some of the pieces that I was comparing were colors that are no longer on there. I found some that were close. I'm not looking for this in particular. It was something else. But yeah, Moda grunge. They don't have the colors on the selvages. And I kind of knew that, but when I really needed some, and I went to look, and I thought, surely there's something on this selvage that will tell me something about the color, but there is not. If any of you know of a trick to that, let me know, because that would be very helpful. So I got 3 more blocks done. I had this one done, and then I got 3 more blocks done. I do have an error right here. This is supposed to be going the other way. I could probably get away with leaving it like that. Nobody would ever notice. And I might, if I don't make any other mistakes. I'm just going to do all the rest of the blocks and see what happens in the end. If that's the only one I have an error in that I need to change, then I may or I may not change it. Probably if I have more than one to change, I will change them all. But if it's just that one, I probably won't. So these are kind of fun to make. I could go at it from the, you know, I could take it in sections and chain piece sections, and it would probably be quicker. But honestly, I'm just enjoying putting the 3 sections together. There's this section, and then this wider section, and then this section. And then each of those have 3 sections. It's this, and then another corner the same size. The corners are all the same size, and these are all the same size. And then you have this center section here with 4 cornerstones. So it's not hard at all. It's just a little bit tedious to, you know, make sure you've got those little pieces turned the right way. I also discovered I had a mistake in my chain piecing for all my little pieces. This particular one right here, I had sewn those up as if they were like these with just 2 sew and flips. But the sew and flips these are bigger than these that have 4. I don't know if you can see that. But I can't just add 2 more to it. It would be too small. So I actually had to hunt down a little piece of fabric online to redo those, because I did not have enough. I almost had enough. I needed a number of 3-inch squares, and I was short like about 8 after I cut up the rest of this fabric that I had left over. So I did find it. So that's the good thing. It's on the way. So there's not going to be any or much of a delay in getting that part straightened out. But if that's the only pile that I messed up of the sew and flips, I feel pretty good about that. The other thing that I did this week was the Pat Sloan's Block Wednesday. This is block number 5. And it's a tree, isn't it? We have it going this way according to her pattern layout. Of course, you can lay them out however you want to do. And as usual, I'm using Folk and Lore. Loving this fabric. And I'm going to be doing some more projects in this fabric in the coming weeks or months. So we'll see how far this gets, because I'm not starting a new project until I get this done. So let's get into your finishes for this week. Okay, the first one that I have is from Lynn, and she's showing us here her peaceful baskets. Remember last week I showed you all of my peaceful baskets from the Sew Sampler box that I'm doing, and she's doing a real soft version here with white background and some light aqua and light aqua florals with a little bit of another shade of green in it. So she's got a couple blocks done there. Very nice. This will be a very soft, beautiful quilt when you're finished. She said she wanted her soft. She wasn't a fan of the shoreline that was used in it, so she decided to, go another route, just like I decided to use a different pattern fabric line altogether. Let's see, what else did she say? Oh, these fabrics she had since 2010. So now you're finally getting to get those yummy fabrics out that you've been hanging on to and trying to find just the perfect project for. And this is just the ticket, isn't it? I think it's going to turn out beautiful. Jennifer has a Leaders and Enders project here. So I don't know what size these are, but probably no bigger than 2 or 2.5 inch squares. I usually use 2.5 inch squares for mine. I don't do mine as enders and leaders and enders, but a lot of people do, and that's a quick way to instantly get a second quilt out of all your projects. So very cute. She's used white or some patterned whites, I believe, in amongst all her scrappy squares. Love it, love it, love it, love it. I'm itching to start another 16 patch. My last one was the burgundy, which I haven't, quilted or anything yet, but I am itching to get into another one. I'm trying to figure out what color I want to use for my common square. Okay, I have one from Karen, and this is her Scrappy Celebration, and she had sent me her quilt finished, but then later she sent me another picture and said, look, I've added borders on. So she decided to go with that blue border route too. But something that I really liked about Karen's quilt is that it's got these lemons and limes fabric. It's got this really juicy fabric in there, as I say, and kind of modernish. And that's a look in the Scrappy Celebration that I hadn't seen. So this is very unique. And she says she believed this is the first quilt along that she participated in, and almost in real time. She says, I never have time to sit and sew along. I'm always busy with big family responsibilities. I usually watch and then save the steps or patterns in my someday quilt folder. So she sewed right along with us. That's a good way to do it, isn't it, Kathy? You definitely will end up with a quilt in a short amount of time. All right. And then the next one is from Kathy, and this is a baby quilt that measures 38 by 49. She used Easter Parade Jelly Roll by Lindsay Wilkes of Cottage Mama. I used a minky fabric for the backing and did straight line quilting. Easy pattern to make and a quick project. And she thinks she got the pattern from Annie's. That's really cute. Very pretty. Very feminine. Love that mint colored minky on the back. That is just yummy. Very good. The next one is from Annie, and she did a potato chip block quilt. That's one of them. She's going to have two pictures here, but this is the first one. The first few were fun, but I sort of lost interest after a few, but I did finish the top, and it will be quilted probably sometime in spring. Now look at her second one. She says the second one is she made one of those, what do you call them? Acronyms. A Muraiga quilt, made up as I go. You might recognize the block in the center. It is from the book of star blocks I saw on your channel and got the book. Okay. After the center block, I just kept adding borders until it was big enough. I have 3 big rows of piano key borders I have to use up in an attempt to use my up my scraps. I don't think it's possible. I'm thinking of calling this one Water Lily, also to be quilted this spring. So she took one of the paper piece stars in the very center there and then just kept adding to it. And she got this fabulous medallion in the center out of it and then continued to add piano key borders. So this is a very intricate quilt. You did a lot of work on that, Annie. That's awesome. And then Shelly has been doing some rope baskets. These are pretty, and she's thrown in a few striking colors in between there, darker, to give a little interest. Actually, it adds quite a punch. I love these. I love the ones with the little handles, and the mint green one in the center is probably my favorite. And then Anja has a couple of interesting items here. Now, the first one I'm going to show you is the one with the tree in the middle. It's beautiful. It's got lavenders and purples and golds and a little bit of teal. It's gorgeous. That tree of life motif in there is probably a lot of applique, I would say. The first one, this one, is for the nursing home my mom lived in. She said they asked me to make a quilt to cover the coffin. When someone dies, they have a goodbye ritual for the people who live there. Of course I made them one. It took me almost 10 months. She said she quilted it with a meander and only the tree of life and the circle I outlined. It measures 118 by 55. Now, I've never heard of such a thing. Now, I've heard of coffin quilts where, you know, they have the person has the quilt over them and then it's draped on the outside of the coffin. This looks more like something that actually covers the coffin. I could be wrong about that. But then also, she has another one about that size. She says this is a crumb quilt for my friend. And here you're going to see the front of it and the back. She says she loves this kind of quilts. I love to make them, but I don't like the look of them. This took me a year. I quilted with straight lines following the sticks. It measures 49 by 108. It's for the end of her bed, like a bed runner, yes. The back is made from sheets from her aunt, who died a few months ago. Love from Holland, Anja. Good job, Anja. And I tell you, I spent a good long time looking at this quilt and trying to figure out where the squares were. I know this is probably done in squares, but I can't perceive the squares. But I would imagine that probably every block has one of those lighter, not lighter, but darker grayish blue prints sticks in them. And then you see Anja's quilting on the back of it, how she just kind of, you know, mimicked those strips and how they were sewn. Amazing. I'm mesmerized by this. I am. Great job, Anja. And I think that's all I have for this week. I got some in a little bit late and I didn't get a chance to really look at them really well, but they'll be first next week. So just hang in there. You'll get on the big screen here within a week or so. So keep sending in your finishes, and according to the guidelines in the description box, I appreciate the effort that you not only that you do in making the quilt, that's amazing, but also in wanting to share your quilts and sharing them with the world, and taking the time to take the photos, send the photos with an email and a description. All of that is very much appreciated. If you didn't do that, I wouldn't have a Finish It Friday. So I appreciate that very, very much. All right, that is it this weekend. I'm going to continue on with these, and I'm going to get going on our new Wednesday sew along. If you didn't see that video on Wednesday, go back and watch it, and perhaps you will want to sew along with that. And our first, I'll say, tutorial video will be next week on Wednesday. So get ready for that if you need to. Either way, get in your sewing room and spend a little time in there. All right, have a great weekend. I will see you next week. Bye.